This is an SBC Media Partners production.
Swung on, hit high and deep, right field.
Could it be? Could it be? It is out of here. Phillies fans, these are your glove stories with Murph.
Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph, you got a special guest, huh?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Glove Stories with Murph. Very excited about this week's guest. Many Phillies fans obviously got to know him in the early 90s and a part of that 1993 team. I got to really know him when he came back as a coach with the Philadelphia Phillies, and everybody remembers the name. Harry Kalas made it famous. Mickey Morandini is our guest today. Mick, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. I miss you, man. I miss you.
Well, thank you. I miss you as well. I know you were part of the opening day festivities at Citizens Bank Park yesterday, and let's talk a little bit about opening day, because your first opening day, 1992, with the big league club. Now, you had been up a couple of times before that, but on the opening day roster for the first time in 1992, jogging out to the line, hearing your name announced, it had to be a pretty special moment for you, yeah?
The most incredible moment there is opening day, hands down. And that particular year, we had 60,000 fans at the ballpark. I mean, you can imagine what 60,000 fans seem like, or, it's so loud. And it's just a special day. And the big thing is you want to go out, you want to get that first hit out of the way. You want to get that first ground ball where you don't bobble it, make an error, get that out of the way. And then you can just play baseball. And fortunately for me, on that opening day, I had 2 hits off of my buddy, Greg Maddox.
Yeah.
And I made all the plays, no errors. So it was a good first day for me.
Yeah, it's funny because we forget that even as professional ball players, there are butterflies and there are some nerves. And it's probably more excitement than it is nervousness to play the game, the game that you guys have been playing your entire lives. But those butterflies, I mean, that makes you feel alive. I think that's why opening day is so special, right?
Yeah. And I had butterflies before every game I ever played. That was just kind of how I got pumped up, and it was my energy and what motivated me. But opening day is extra special. The big part is just leading up to it. Time goes so slow leading up to it. And, finally you cross the line, you get your name announced in the starting lineup, and the game finally starts. And you put a lot of pressure on yourself on opening day because you don't think about it. You have 162 games. So what if I go 0 for 4 on opening day? But nobody wants to do that because like I said, you want to get that first hit out of the way. And it's just a special, special day. And the fans, everybody thinks their team's going to, get to the playoffs and win a World Series. So everybody's hyped. And it was a lot of fun. I remember that day like it was yesterday.
I love hearing that the emotions that go along with getting ready for a game. When you were a younger player back in high school, back in college in Indiana, were you that kind of player that you used that nervous energy to kind of fire you up even at that young age?
Absolutely. I was always a little bit nervous. I there's a lot of players that seem so calm and relaxed, and I was always a little bit nervous. But like I said, that's what gave me the energy and excitement to go out and play. And there was probably something wrong with me if I wasn't nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm losing love for the game or something if I wasn't nervous. But I just loved competing, and that energy, that nervous energy really got me going and got me motivated and got me ready to play for the game.
You're not nervous now, are you, Mick? I mean, it's just
I'm always nervous talking to you, Murph.
All right. Well, I'll try to calm you down. Let's talk about those early days before you got to the big leagues, because you were a top prospect. Your numbers at every level you played were outstanding. You didn't spend a whole lot of time in the minor leagues, but you did spend a couple of years. So tell us a little bit about those days, because we hear the great stories about riding the buses and getting ready for games and working on the grounds crew to make ends meet. What do you remember about your short time in the minor leagues?
Yeah, it was a grind. And, your first year in the minor leagues, you just don't know. You don't know if you belong. You don't know how you rank against other players, and you're excited, you're nervous. You don't know how the organization feels about you. There's not a lot of talk about that. So I started out in Spartanburg, And my manager was Mel Roberts, great guy. And I started off, fortunately for me, I started off really well, got the confidence going early. I'm 5'10", 155 pounds at that time. So I'm a little skinny thing playing shortstop. Got off to a really good start, had a couple of good months, and then went to Clearwater, got moved up to Clearwater, had a couple of good weeks there. And I made a real quick transition from Clearwater to Reading. And then I just went off in Reading, hit like 360 and had a good final 2 months. And things just rolled from there. So I was very fortunate. I only spent 2 years in the minor leagues, which is obviously really fast for most players. So just really lucky to getting off to that good start was huge for me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's so funny because we had Mike on last week, Mike Schmidt on last week, and even Mike, the greatest third baseman to ever play the game, was talking about how he didn't know if he was good enough, even in the minor leagues as he was making that step at each level. He didn't know if he was good enough to be in the big leagues and be a good player in the big leagues. When did it click for you that, okay, you're making this rapid rise through the Phillies organization? Did you say to yourself, the big leagues are right around the corner, it's going to happen? Or is it kind of like, I don't know?
Yeah, I still don't know if I knew. I think once I got to AAA, I was like, all right, hey, man, you got a chance now. If you can play well here, you got a really good chance. And I didn't play as well my first year in AAA, hit about 260. And I made a transition from shortstop to second base. They didn't think I had the arm strength to play short, so they moved me to second base. And it was a big transition. Second base is completely different than playing shortstop, so I had a lot of things to learn. But fortunately, I learned them pretty quickly. And, I was playing in great Scranton, Pennsylvania on a turf field, a great ballpark, and just had a lot of fun up there. And fortunately, the Phillies traded Tommy Herr right before the September call-ups, and I got called up the next day.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing that Herr got traded? Did you get the goosebumps at that moment? Did you think,
it's actually
this could happen?
Funny story now. It was 3 days before our season was supposed to end, and the rumor was I wasn't getting called up. So I was preparing to go home, have my off season, blah, blah, blah. So we take batting practice. I come into the clubhouse, and the manager was Bill Dancy. And coach came out and said, Skipper wants to see you. I'm like, what the heck does he want to see me for? So I go into his office. He sits me down. And he goes, the Phillies just traded Tommy Herr. They're playing a doubleheader tonight, and you're starting the second game.
Wow.
So I went from going home in a couple of days to, oh, my God, I'm playing in a big league game in like 3 hours. So I pack everything up, drive to Philly, and I get there, and the first game's already going. And I end up pinch hitting in the 7th inning. I have a real good at bat against Eric Schau. Okay. And I hit a line drive on a full count to Freddie Lynn, who was playing left field for the Padres. So I had to, felt good about myself. I put the ball in play. So I come up in extra innings, game-win extra innings, and I got my first base hit off of Greg Harris. Next batter bunted me over, and Johnny Kruk singled me home for the winning run. So I went from playing in a AAA game to getting my first big league hit and scoring the winning run in my first game. So it was pretty exciting.
And that's what I love. I love hearing these stories. And that's what makes baseball so great, because those kinds of things don't happen in other sports where you're in one city playing in a minor league game in the morning and have to head on and get your first major league hit later that night.
And the rest of that September, I was awful. I was hitting about $150.
Who cares?
I was bad. And it was really the first time that I had failed for an extended period of time. Like, Little League, Legion Ball, high school, college, I was always successful. And then all of a sudden for a month here, I can't buy a base hit. So I'm going into the last weekend and the last 2 games, and I got to face Maddox and Mike Bilecki, who were 2 pretty good pitchers at the time. And I ended up going 4 for 4 off Maddox, 2 for 4 off Bilecki. I went 6 for 8. I went from 150 to 250. And that was huge for me because I really didn't think I belonged in the big leagues. And now I get 6 out of 8 the last 2 games. I get, head into the offseason feeling a lot better about myself, and ended up being in the big leagues from that point on. But that was 2 really huge games for me.
Yeah, it's amazing what can turn the switch on for players, and certainly going 6 for 8 against guys like that. That's going to do it. It's going to make you feel pretty good. Well, you've brought him up twice. We might as well talk about Greg Maddox at this point, because one of the best pitchers of his generation for sure, Hall of Famer, obviously a terrific guy on the mound. But man, you had his number his entire career, to the point where he gave an interview about a month ago, and he was talking about you. He used a word I don't even think I can use on the podcast. But
yeah, I wasn't real happy with that. Yeah.
Well, now's your chance to get him back. But you owned the Hall of Famer, did you not?
And I can't really explain it. I was a good fastball hitter. I did not hit guys that, like a Bob Tewksbury. I don't know if you remember Bob Tewksbury.
Yeah,
he couldn't break glass with a fastball, and he had 3 curveballs, and they were slower, and more slow. Couldn't sniff them. But the guys that threw hard, I hit well. And Maddox wasn't a power pitcher per se, but he threw the ball pretty good. I mean, he could hit 93, 94, but he had such amazing cutters and sinkers and changeups and things like that. And he could locate them all. But I tried to cut the plate in half with him, and I either looked away or looked inside. You couldn't cover the whole plate with him. You just couldn't do it. And I was pretty successful with that, guessed pretty well with him, and just hit him well. And that's really how I explain it. Now, I hit the Smoltzes and the Pedro Martinez's and the Schillings and those types of players. Andy Bennis, I hit like 450 off of. The guys that threw hard, I could hit.
That's wild. But the fact that he still remembers you all these years later, knowing that you got to him more often than not, and one of the biggest moments in your career, and we'll jump ahead to it because it involved Greg Maddox, 1993 NLCS, the Phillies trying to close it out against the Braves. You have the lead late in the game, but Maddox was holding his own. You come up and you end it right there. You put him to bed.
Yeah, I think it was 4-2. I think it was the 6th inning, if I'm not mistaken. Sixth inning. Yeah. And there's a runner on second. It was Milt Thompson, and Lenny's coming up with 2 outs, and they walk him. Yep. Obviously, the right move. Lenny had an MVP year that year, right move. So I get up there, nervous as hell. There's 60,000 screaming Philly fans, and I'm just like, battle. You got to battle. And he threw a couple of the nastiest changeups. One, I swung at one in the dirt. And the next pitch, I checked my swing, and it probably could have gone either way if I went or not. And they said I didn't swing. And he went right back to it, and he hung it. And he left it up in the zone, and I was able to rifle it down the right field corner for a triple and, expand the lead to 6-2, and that was the ball game. But, earlier in the game, first at bat, I hit that line drive off his shin. And I do think that affected him. He seemed to be starting to limp as the game went on, and probably couldn't push. I don't remember what leg it was, or couldn't land or push off on it quite as much. So it was a fun moment. I remember getting to third base, high-fiving Larry Bowa, and just taking it all in because 60,000 screaming fans, and I saw the manager coming out and taking Maddox out. That was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, no wonder he called you that word. I would too.
Hey, when you're putting the same sentence with a Tony Gwynn, because those are the 2 guys that hit him really well, that's obviously a huge honor. So I'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 Hall of Famers right there, and you're in that sentence because you had the second best success off of Greg Maddox behind Tony Gwynn in his career. So that's pretty impressive. All right, let's go back to the younger days of Mickey Morandini, because you played in the Cape Cod League, which is the wooden bat league. Tons of prospects come out of that league. 1987, and you tore it up. Batting title, MVP, living large in Cape Cod as a young man, and all I can think of is Freddie Prince and
Summer Catch or whatever.
On Freddie Prince's body. What was it like? What was it like owning the Cape Cod League back in the late 80s?
That was a fun summer for me. You go up in a beautiful area and you have a job. They get you a job, and I was a painter. I painted houses. So I would paint porches and railings. I didn't do anything up high, obviously, but that was our summer job. So we'd go out in the morning from 9 to about 1 o'clock and paint, come back home, and then get ready for the game. And we did that for, a couple months up there. And just a blast. And once again, you go up there, you're playing all the elite college players, and you don't know, do I belong? We're going to find out real quick here. And once again, I got off to a really hot start. The confidence was high. and just played really well. I hit 375, I think, up there. And the funny part about it is the last day of the year, I'm in a batting title chase with Robin Ventura.
Okay.
And you're talking about a guy who just had a 50-some game hitting streak and was talked about tremendously as a college player. So I'm in this battle. It's the last day. And he had an earlier game, and he went 2 for 4. So I had to go 3 for 4 to beat him. And I did. I went 3 for 4, and I beat him by percentage points to win the batting title up there. So that was pretty incredible. So I don't know, I think I still hold the stolen base record up there. I stole 45 bases that summer, and I think I still have the stolen base record for up there. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, you were sneaky fast in those early days too. Yeah.
Well, when you weigh 155 pounds, you better be fast.
Yeah. Well, if the wind's blowing behind you, you get a little extra push. So
exactly. But I was always a good base stealer. I was fast. I wasn't Norman Quinn fast, but I was fast, and I knew how to run the bases. I felt like I was a good base runner, and I was one of those guys that needed to get on base and make things happen. And up there, I did do that.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Tell me a little bit about minor league days. I know they were short, but they weren't always silky smooth. There were some bumps in the road, I guess is the best way to describe one particular day.
Well, I played in the South Atlantic League, and that's one of the worst travel leagues there is. I mean, the distance between cities that you play in is far. You're on a bus, and people don't understand. You play a night game at home, and then you go on the road, and it's a 8-hour bus ride. You don't get into 7, 8 in the morning. You got to play another game that night. It's very trying. But when I was coaching in Williamsport, we had a bus trip to Brooklyn. We were playing Brooklyn, so we play the game at night, and we're driving back from Brooklyn to the hotel, and our bus driver gets lost. And he finds himself in Staten Island, and he's panicking because we've been driving around for like an hour. It was like a 20-minute bus ride back to the hotel. We're driving around, and he's panicking, and he accidentally runs a red light, and an SUV slams into us, and the bus is literally riding along the curb, and on the other side of the curb, there's a 200-foot straight downhill embankment. And we're actually, the right front and back tire is literally riding the curb, keeping us from going down this embankment. And fortunately enough, the bus driver got thrown out of the seat, got back up, and started turning the wheel to keep us from going down. I'm telling you, if we'd have went down that embankment, there would have been a lot of serious injuries. And the bus driver, even though he ran a red light, probably saved some of our lives, to be honest with you. And you can look at photos online of it. If you type in Williamsport bus crash, it was pretty bad. Now, fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt. But the worst part about it was that was at 1 a.m. And we didn't get back to the hotel till like 4 a.m. after all the fire trucks and police and all that came. We had to play an 11 a.m. game in Brooklyn, and it was Kids Day. They wouldn't cancel the game because they had 5,000 kids coming to the game. So we had to strap it on and play an actual game the next day. And I give our kids a lot of credit because we hung in there. We lost 3-2, but it could have been really bad.
Yeah, I've spent a decade riding those buses, just to and from airports in the big leagues and getting on the planes and stuff. It can be dicey at times. That's a scary story, but I'm glad it all played out the way it did. Let's go back to '93 because that team is still beloved in this town, and for so many reasons. And I was recently watching the '93 season in review again, just the video, and it's just so much fun. That team, even when things started when the wheels started to fall off late in the season, you had the lead for the entire season, but it dwindled in September. The team was so loose. And I look at a guy like Jim Fregosi, and I was lucky enough to be around Jim for a couple of years and get to know him a little bit. And, he always seemed like such a tough guy, but he was pretty loose with you guys, was he not? I mean, were you guys a reflection of Jim at that point?
Well, I think we were a reflection of Darren Dalton for the most part, because Darren led that clubhouse, and there weren't a lot of things that ever got to Jim, to be honest with you, because it had to go through Darren first. But Jim was a manager that, as long as you went out, played the game the right way, played hard, he left you alone. Just go out and play. Now, if you did had some mental mistakes and didn't play the game the right way, then you got called into the office. But that was a rarity. But and be honest with you, Larry Bowa usually got to us before Jim even had a chance. If there was anybody that was going to panic on that team, it was going to be Larry. Yeah, Jim was a great manager. He played for 18 years and was a coach and did several things for a number of other years, and just a great guy. Now he's obviously he's one of the biggest factors of my career. He was the one that called me up. He was my first call up, so I owe Jim a lot. And he stayed with me through some rough times, and like I said, when I was struggling, he stuck with me, and I really appreciated that. But he was just a great manager. He pulled all the right buttons that year with the platooning and things like that, and everything clicked. Everything just clicked.
Yeah, so many strong personalities on that team, and and coaches as well in the organization at that time. He really was the perfect guy to kind of be the puppet master for all of that. But there's so many fun moments from that '93 season. What I want to know is, take me back inside the clubhouse, late in games. If you go back and watch some of those highlight reels and stuff, late in the game, so many guys that had played in the game and then were now out of the game, back in the trainer's room, watching the rest of the games, late night games, extra inning games. There just seemed to be such camaraderie at all times with that club. Like, everybody seemed to they were so invested in every game.
Yeah. And that's Darren again. He had us come together and pull for each other. There weren't hitters and pitchers. I mean, we were one unit at that time. He was big on us sticking together. But after games, we would go into the training room. We'd ice, we'd eat our post-game meal. And what we did was we talked baseball. Yeah. We talked about the game that we just played. We talked about the upcoming game tomorrow, certain pitchers, certain things that happened that we need to improve on, certain things we're doing. I mean, we just talked baseball. And I can remember Darren every day on that training table with 2 bags of ice on his knees, and Lenny would have a bag of ice on something, and Crucky would have a bag of ice. Well, Crucky would have about 20 bags of ice on him. But we just sat around. There was probably 10 to 15 players in there. Once in a while, Harry the K would come in and join us and talk baseball. It was just a special, special moment. And the game would end at 11:30, and we wouldn't get out of there till 1:30, just talking baseball. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you failed to mention the bags of ice that were sitting on the cooler too.
Well, there was a cooler of some alcoholic beverages in there. That was probably what attracted everybody to the training room for sure.
Yeah, the ice got a workout in '93, all over the bods and all over the beers too. So,
definitely did. It definitely did.
Hey, before I let you go, one of the things that people will always remember about you is one remarkable moment in your career. You would think back to 1992 and you're playing a game against the Pirates, and something happens that is a rarity in baseball. It happens. It's a rarity. But with you, the unassisted triple play, that hadn't happened in decades. And, obviously right man at the right time, but that had to be pretty exciting. Take me through the play and when your mind kind of realizes what's happening and how quickly it goes.
Yeah, it's we're playing the Pirates. I'm playing in my hometown, so I have a lot of friends and family at the game. And this one play goes to show, don't ever not go to a game, because you never know what you're going to miss. You really don't.
Yeah.
And they have runners at first and second, no outs. We're in a tie ball game. I think it was the 6th inning again, 6th or 7th inning. Kurt Schilling's on the mound. And this is when the Pirates were really good. Bonds, Bonilla, Van Slyke, Drabek, the whole crew, when they went to the playoffs for, 3 or 4 straight years. So normally in that situation with a full count, you don't send the runners because you don't want to get doubled up. Well, Leland sent them. and Jeff King hits a line drive up the middle, and I dive for the ball, catch it. I'm probably 3 or 4 steps from second base, so I, sprint to second, and Barry's standing right there. He didn't attempt to get back. So, the play lasted really probably 4 seconds, maybe 4 or 5 seconds. And I got 3 outs. I remember Whitey screaming, "Run it to first, run it to first." Like, he was so discombobulated. He didn't know what was going on. So, yeah, I got 3 outs in a matter of 5 seconds, and I'm running off the field, and I'm just, all happy, and I flipped the ball in the air like a dummy.
Yep.
And yeah, I just, I didn't know. And I go in the dugout, high five everybody, and I look up on the scoreboard, and it said Mickey Morandini just turned the first unassisted triple play in the regular season for a second baseman. So I was the first second baseman to do it in the regular season. One other guy had done it in a playoff game, I guess.
Yeah.
I was the 9th to do it, and there's only been 15. So, incredible moment.
You never know what you're going to see at a ballpark, or you never know what's going to happen when you're out there on that field. Yeah. A cool moment, and some big names involved in that play too. So a little piece of baseball history.
Yeah.
Did they take your glove to Cooperstown? Did anything like
they
that
have
happen?
The base. I wouldn't give him my glove because that was something I was still using.
Your gamer, yeah.
That's my gamer. I'm not giving up my gamer. And but they took the base. They have my jersey. Kurt Schilling said he saw me flip the ball up and went back and got the ball. Now, no video shows that happening. So what I really think happened is the ball stayed there. The next pitcher for the Pirates came out, started pitching in the inning, and I'm assuming someone probably fouled it off.
Yeah.
And a fan probably has it. Now, I say I have the ball. I don't know if I really do or not. But
actually, I have it.
Really didn't go back. You got it. I bet a fan has it and doesn't even know it.
No, that's pretty cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Again, you just never know.
Yeah.
Well, Mickey, it's always fun to talk with you. I got a chance to be with you down in fantasy camp last year, which was a lot of fun. And 2 years ago, I guess at this point, COVID canceled the last one. But as the commissioner down there, you'll get back there pretty soon, right? You're going back this summer, right?
Well, we're doing it in Philly.
In Philly, yep.
From June 24th to the 28th are the projected dates. And we're going to obviously have to mix it up a little bit. And there won't be quite as many teams or things like that. But it would be fun for some of these guys to be able to play at CBP. So we're going to do it a little different. And hopefully we can get everybody out there and have some fun.
Yeah, it always is a good time. And always a good time talking to you, Mick. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to be here on Glove Stories. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks, Murph.
Mickey Morandini, guys. I want to thank Mickey Morandini again for joining us on episode 2 of Glove Stories with Murph. Mickey talked about how important Darren Daulton was for the 93 Phils, certainly a clubhouse leader. And Mickey, along with Tommy Green and former Eagle Trey Thomas, are all participating in a very special event to benefit the Darren Daulton Foundation. It's called Painting for Dutch. It's a baseball-themed night, which will include sharing memories of Dutch, reminiscing about baseball, and, of course, doing some painting as well. The date is April 23rd. It's online, and you can still register to participate. For more information on Painting for Dutch, please visit the DarrenDaultonFoundation.org. All right, welcome back to Glove Stories with Murph. Thanks again to Mickey Morandini for being with us and sharing those memories. Now it is time to relive one game from one of the most special seasons in Phillies history. We're going to do it every week, either 1980 or 2008. This week, we relive opening day 1980, and we do so with Larry Bowa, the shortstop from the 1980 World Series team and a lifelong Philadelphia favorite. Larry, good to see you, first of all.
All right, Murph, it's great to be on. And obviously, anytime we can turn the clock back, 80 was a very special year for the Phillies' first ever World Championship. And some of those memories still remain with me for a long time.
I'm sure. And I love hearing you guys talk about that time in your lives. And I know the fans do too. So let's set the scene. It was April 11th and it was opening day, Veterans Stadium back in 1980. And, there was a lot of talk about the 1980 team kind of having their window has closed. You guys had been in the postseason 3 straight years, then you missed it in 79, and folks were down on the 80 team. So what do you remember about opening day? I know there was a special delivery of the first baseball on opening day. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Kite Man. But getting back to us having high expectations, Ruley Carpenter, who was probably as good an owner as I've ever played for, basically told us, hey, guys, you got to do it this year, because we'd come up short, gone to the playoffs. We kept playing Cincinnati and the Dodgers, and they were better than us, whether it was a play, a pitch, an umpire's call, whatever, and they beat us. And this year we knew that if we didn't get there, they were going to break this team up. And really didn't want to do that. But, reality sets in, and he went with us as far as he could. But I remember that game because Steve Rogers, who was a nemesis for us, outstanding pitcher, and of course we had the big guy going for us, Steve Carlton. But I remember Kite Man because they weren't sure. Bill Giles had another great promotion, but they weren't sure because it was a little windy, and they weren't sure if he could pull this off. But he did. The wind wasn't as strong as he did that earlier in the 70s, and they had it canceled, and he didn't. One of them didn't even work. So, but this one worked, and we had a good game that day. Carlton pitched a great game for us. And anytime we beat Rogers, that was something special for us.
Yeah, so Kite Man got things started right in the 1980 season. Unlike earlier when he tried to deliver that first ball, he landed on the infield, got the baseball, and the game got underway. And really, as you said, you had Carlton on the mound, so you feel good about that. But Steve Rogers was a hell of a pitcher back then for the Expos. So the action for the Phillies begins in the bottom of the first. They got the first 2 outs very quickly, but then Maddox walks and Schmitty walks, and up steps Greg Lozinski to get the season started off right?
Well, the Bull came up with big hits all year for us. I still say, besides Tony Perez, Greg Lozinski was right behind Tony in 2-out RBIs, which are very difficult to get in baseball. But Bull did it all year. We know how great Schmitty was in all the RBIs. So when you look at Bull's RBIs, you're saying, wow, how did he pick up all those? Because Schmitty usually did his job. But Greg Lozinski, who was my roommate for a long time in the minor league system, he got the big hit off Rogers. And anytime Rogers, a sinker ball pitcher, Murph, he doesn't allow too many home runs, but he allowed one on opening day there. And usually, and it did stand up, when you get Carlton that many runs early, you can put that in the win column.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The 3-run shot put the Phils up 3-0, and kind of foreshadowing for what was going to happen in the postseason. But we'll get there later on down the road in that. Right. But the 3-run home run, so the Phils are up. Carlton pitching masterfully, shuts down the Expos through 4. Bottom of the 4th inning, Lozinski grounds out. Then Boone gets a single. You ground to shortstop, fielder's choice. You're safe at first. Boone out at second. Right. And then Manny Trio comes up, and he singles to right center field, and you score all the way from first. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was running on the pitch. One thing I could do, I ran pretty good for a guy that wasn't known for stealing 50 bases, but I usually got my 30 to 35 stolen bases. I was running on the pitch, and the outfielders, they had a very good outfield out there. They didn't go straight across the cutting. They had to run at an angle. And then once I saw that, our third base coach, Lee Ilya, he kept waving me. He knew that I was very aggressive running the bases, and I scored from first on that play. So Manny Trio, again, with a big hit for us. He did a tremendous job all year, and I had the ability to score on that ball and give us an extra run there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember play at the plate? Were you safe standing up?
No, I had to slide. And of course, back then, Gary Carter, who was their catcher, they could block the plate.
Yeah.
And most catchers that I ran into were much bigger than I was. So I remember sliding into him, but he sort of gave a little bit because I had beaten the throw. But it wasn't like the rules are today where the catcher gives you a lane and all that stuff.
I know. Don't get me started, Larry. And I won't get you started either on that.
Yeah, right.
You guys scored 2 more in the bottom of the 7th. You're up 6-1, and Carlton is just cruising. But in the 9th, he does get into a little bit of trouble. Dallas leaves him in. He gets the first out, then a double and a home run. Now all of a sudden it's 6-3. In today's game, the manager's coming out, is he not? And getting your closer at this point, don't you think?
Yeah, he is, but not with Carlton.
No.
I've seen Carlton many times where the manager goes out and he literally says, "Who are you bringing in?" And they name a name, and he goes, "No, you're not." and the manager walks back. So when you have a Hall of Fame pitcher out there, you know he's going to finish the deal. And Carlton didn't like pitching 7 innings or 8 innings.
Yeah.
He wanted the complete game. He was a horse out there, and we went to him a lot during my career with the Phillies, and of course during '80 he stood out again. But he finished the game, and we ended up winning the first game. And normally, Murph, our starts in April weren't very good in '80. Yeah. Maybe you can even go before '80. We just didn't have good Aprils. I don't know what the reason was. It seemed like we were ready to go out of spring training, whether it was the cold weather, but we were able to get that in the win column, and that's good to start off the season 1-0.
Always is good to start the season 1-0. But to your point, as the season continued on in the month of April, the 1980 team only 6-9 in the month of April. And you guys were able to, kind of put together the back end of this season to get into postseason. But again, those are conversations for another day. But opening day, the win, the Phils go 1-0, and they were off. No one knew at that point how it was going to end. We do already, but we're going to relive it right here on Glove Stories with Murph each and every week. Larry, good to see you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, okay?
All right, Murph, you take care. All
right, Larry Bowa joining us. When we come back, Ben Davis to take a look at the 2021 Phils squad. Stay with us. And welcome back to Glove Stories with Murph. And time now to check in on the 2021 Philadelphia Phillies. And, off to a pretty good start. And to help us do that, we bring in my former partner, my good friend, Ben Davis from the NBC Sports Philadelphia broadcast team. Ben, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Murph.
Yeah, good to be seen. And, it's good to be doing this again. Hopefully
Absolutely.
We'll do a little bit more.
Absolutely. I wore my green hat just for you, buddy.
I appreciate that. It looks good on you. Let me ask you, because, we always say, and we have said over the last couple of years, when this team, it has talent, you see it on paper, but they need to get out to a good start. Well, April has been tough over the last couple of years, but off to a pretty good start so far this season. It started with the sweep of the Braves opening weekend, which was just fantastic. And what I noted was just the top of that rotation. You've got Nola, Wheeler, and Eflin, and everyone talked about how they needed to pitch well. Well, right out of the gate, those three look pretty good.
They looked awesome. First and foremost, their fastball command was outstanding. They were able to mix in, obviously, their all-speed pitches, but their fastball command to a man was excellent. Really good late movement, especially with Wheeler and Eflin on their sinkers. I just really, really liked what I saw. They stayed down in the zone. They pitched to their strengths, and they invited contact, and that's what you like to see. And that's why I think you see why the games are so quick. Pitching to contact, not trying to miss bats. We'll see how the rest of the rotation fills out, but I liked really what I saw out of the bullpen in that particular series, and I think it can only get better.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement right now surrounding just the new faces on this team, because when you look at from an offensive standpoint, the term we keep hearing is they're rolling it back. They're doing what they did last year, which is just fine from an offensive standpoint. They were pretty darn good offensively back in 2020. But the pitching, a little bit of the rotation has changed, but the bullpen has been revamped, and that's given a lot of people a lot of optimism.
Yeah, without a doubt. And think about, Murph, how much pressure that takes off, not only the starting pitching, but also the lineup. They're not saying, oh, we have to go out and score 10 runs tonight because of the bullpen. I mean, it was historically bad last year. And what they were able to do in the offseason to solidify that bullpen, bring in these guys. I mean, the average miles per hour went up, I think, like 5 or 6 miles per hour. And not that velocity is everything, but it sure does help in today's game. And it's nice to see that back end of that bullpen bolstered the way it is, because these guys can be dominant and they can get righties and lefties out. I don't know if there's any, quote unquote specialist out there that they really need, because they can get righties and lefties out. But this lineup is going to score some runs. They just are. And they're going to have to, because of this division, which is the best division in baseball. It's not even close. And the arms that they have in this division with DeGrom and Scherzer. You could go down the road. Look at the Marlins have given the Phillies fits over the last couple of years because of the starting pitching, and it's young starting pitching down there in Miami. And it's not going to be easy task.
Yeah, and you say it takes the pressure off of the offense, takes the pressure off of the starting pitcher. I'll tell you what, takes the pressure off of Joe Girardi a little bit too, does it not?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he could have. I felt bad for the guy last year because there's nothing that he could do. Close his eyes, give me that guy. And it's like they just weren't going to get the job done. And it wasn't from a lack of effort. They were just not good last year. And Joe Girardi had his hands tied. And another thing I want to point out, Murph, is I think that Caleb Gotham, the new pitching coach, I think these guys are putting a lot of stock in what he has to say. He said that he can fix them mentally. Joe Girardi said, we talked to him in spring training, said he can fix these guys mentally and physically. And that's really what you want out of your pitching coach, despite not having a ton of experience. And he's a young guy, but they really seem to like what he's saying.
Yeah, I like it too, and I will not be surprised if I see Joe Girardi skip out to make a pitching change this year, just because he's happy. He's like, hey, I got guys to go to. I'm going to go out there. All right, let me ask you about Alec Baum, because we were pleasantly surprised by Alec Baum last year and what he was able to bring in the shortened time that he was up in the big leagues early this season. I don't know. I'm feeling like he's going to be that guy, clutch for one. And just a guy that can get his bat to the ball. Yeah,
and you just don't see it, especially out of younger guys. His approach does not change. You want to throw me ball in, okay, I'll turn on. Throw me ball down the middle, I'll hit up the middle. Throw me ball away, I'll hit it to right. And he does it with authority. He likes to hit everything on a line. He gets frustrated as heck when he strikes out, which, for some guys, it's just a stat. Oh, he struck out. It's just like popping up. No, it's not, okay? Nope. And his approach for a younger guy, and I'll be the first one to tell you, Murph, when I got caught up and I was doing well, I thought I had to do more. And that's what he does not do. And that's the part of him in him that says, no, I'm sticking with my approach. That's who I am. And he doesn't get away from it. He doesn't try and do too much. He doesn't overswing. He doesn't hit a home run at 400 feet and try and hit the next one 450. He just stays within himself. And I think he's going to be a good one for a lot of years. And his defense has improved too. He really worked his tail off in spring training. He looks a lot better in the field. He's made some good plays early on in this season. And he just looks like a really good professional. Yeah,
he's going to be fun to watch. All right, before I let you go, probably the biggest story across baseball, and not just in Philadelphia, but fans back in the stands. And I know in Philly it's still limited, although it is getting better, but it's limited now. But the 8,000 plus that were in the ballpark early in the season, you could hear them. They looked great. They sounded great. You were there. What was your take on it?
It felt like more, Murph. It really did. It felt like more. And listen, these players feed off it. And Zach Wheeler, to give him credit, we interviewed him in spring training. He said, you know what? It was tough at times last year to kind of get it going. And he said it, and we shouldn't use that as an excuse, but it just was. I said, what, the cardboard cutouts didn't do it for you? So it's these fans, they're craving baseball. Anywhere you go, Murph, it's like, oh, I can't wait to get back to the ballpark. You stop at a Wawa, get a cup of coffee. I can't wait to get back to the ballpark. I can't wait. The kids that are on my son's teams, and they're all like, I can't wait to get back to the ballpark. And it's nice to hear, and I think they're going to have an awful lot to root for this year. And I'm not trying to sound like a homer, but I think this team has something in the back of their mind saying, you know what, everyone's talking about the Braves and the Mets. Don't forget about us. And
don't forget.
And rightfully so. And I think the fans are taking notice of that too. And it's nice to see them back.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, Ben, always nice to see you. I appreciate you jumping on and giving us your thoughts on the current team. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks, if that's okay with you.
I'd love to, Murph. Appreciate it.
All right. Ben Davis from NBC Sports Philadelphia joining us here to talk about the 2021 team. We'll talk to him soon. And, that's going to put a wrap on the podcast today. Glove Stories with Murph is a presentation of SBC Media Partners. The engineer for Glove Stories is Chad Evans. Cindy Webster is our marketing and guest relations director, and our executive producer is Roger Haddon. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or downloading the podcast from one of our major podcast providers like Apple, Google, or Spotify, make sure to like or subscribe us so that we can let you know when a new episode of Glove Stories with Murph is coming your way. We'll release new episodes weekly throughout the MLB 2021 season. Until then, we'll see you next time.